Hello everybody and welcome back for some more snooker action. This time it's a little bit of a jump from round 3 to the quarterfinal stage, but it still is the one and only Shaun Murphy, the world number 16. How delighted he was over the win of Watchalong yesterday. Brilliant performance there. And well, certainly will be looking to become the third semi-finalist. We already know that Anthony McGill and Mark Selby are the first two to confirm their semi-final appearance here at British Open, and now Shaun Murphy and Mitchell Mann will battle for another one of those spots. The match that Murphy will come as a massive favourite, but in fairness of Mitchell Mann, he's managed to defeat Barry Hawkins in the previous round, who says he can't do it. The same thing now to Shaun Murphy. Remember, Barry Hawkins is technically higher up on the ranking than him, and yeah, lovely to see players handshake there. And we are ready to get some action. Felicia is here already, and it's Mitchell Mann to get us underway in the opening frame. How are we all doing? Certainly excited for this one. As I say, haven't seen the entire match of Mann against Hawkins, but it's not necessarily the best start for Mitchell, as he leaves a chance now for Shaun Murphy into the right middle there. So very important for Murphy to try and get himself underway nicely here. And you'll be trying to make sure that is the case for him. Right now he's got an opener after inaccurate break-off there from Mann. Has to eliminate all kinds of mistake if he wants to make sure he is through to the first semi-final ranking event of his career. Shaun Murphy certainly had a couple of those in the past couple of years, and it's a brilliant red there, and he's off to a great start, Murphy, because all of a sudden he finds himself in the perfect position for the black, and in with a chance here straight away in the opening frame. Now send the cue ball back down the cushion and have himself lined up on one more red in the same corner, as he gets himself 8 points on the board. Not too many of those available right now, but he has got a chance to score some of the points earlier on. Of course, remember, the first two quarterfinals have been full of events there. Mark Selby and Anthony McGill found themselves on the winning end of Stan Moody and Mark Williams, with the world champions there clashing between each other. And in the end it was Selby, the mark that got through to the semi-final, and one of the class of 92 is out. One didn't enter the tournament, and another will feature against Louis Heathcote right now alongside this table. For now, Shaun Murphy trying to get the cue ball into the reds, but in the end, I think he got too much backspin there on the cue ball, and I think that's going to cost him dearly here. So far, it's pretty even in terms of the chances there. Something that I would expect, 71% for Murphy, 29% for Mann there. And he comes into this match as a massive favourite there, Murphy, but he needs to make sure he gets one of those chances dispatched nicely, and he will, because he will eliminate one more black in towards the right corner. Nice shot there from Murphy. Gets the cue ball into the reds as well. One more red this time into the left corner. Roll this one in nicely. Get himself lined up once again on the black here. So he's still going with reds and blacks here, Murphy, which is going to be a massive advantage for him to try and get as many early points on the board as possible. Get himself through the early stage of the match, which sometimes in the past of this tournament he has struggled with. You know, probably done the damage to him against Jackson Page clash at the English Open. But if you talk about Murphy and his performance, I mean, when you beat the world number 1 and the world number 3, you already had a brilliant campaign. But he's only through to a quarter-final. Not often you see the likes of Shaun Murphy, Neil Robertson and Watchalong face off against each other at such early stages of the tournament. But of course we had to jump through the last 16 round because of the way the tournament runs. And they basically had to play it within an hour of Watchalong finishing his match with Martin O'Donnell. 30 minutes later he had to jump on the table with Murphy. And if I was him after he was eliminated, I'd be absolutely fuming with whoever did the planning of the tournament. You know, giving 7 days for the last 64 plus the qualifying round is an absolute joke if you ask me. But Murphy says that he doesn't want to be complaining too much. We've seen players talk about one or the other in a couple of interviews. Murphy himself had a little go at Ronnie O'Sullivan, which we'll talk about a little bit later on. And Chris Wakelin, well, his comments about Kyron Wilson and Shaun Murphy battle got responded there by the Warrior as well, saying that he has to be careful there, Wakelin, and he's only been in this field of being a very high seed for, you know, sort of limited amount of months, not years, and he has to be careful with what he says. Kyron, of course, has found himself on the receiving end of some of controversy from the fans. Said previously, that time he said, if the players and the fans knew more context, they would not have said what they did say. But in the end, it looks like Murphy, after eliminating all the easy reds, found himself out of position here. He's got a really difficult black to try and take on into the left corner, and that's probably the only chance that he'll actually have to resume the break. So I assume he just sends the black in towards the left corner pocket and tries to send the black in towards the corner, but also has to be very careful in terms of his cue ball placement, because I think he'll just have to send it towards the ball carrier. Potentially can try and put the black on the cushion. I think that'll speed up the play after safety for him. But whatever it is, he has to make sure he executes the shot nicely. I think he will try to roll the black in, and he will, and he'll miss this one by a mile. And he was actually trying to play for a red there, so this could be costly there for Murphy, as the break will end on just 57 points scored for him. And right now Mann has got a chance of his own. The reds go in the same corner that Murphy has managed to miss the black previously. Right now, once again, have a lot of power on the cue ball and send it towards the reds and the ping bunch. And straight away he found himself in difficult position, but it's still the one that he can try and recover from. It's just very little distance in between the cue ball and the ping here. And as I say, Louis Heathcourt against John Higgins is going on alongside this match. We'll keep you updated on the scoreline in that particular battle as well. But for now, all eyes on Mann, who's got 6 reds to try and deal with. The black is the only colour currently out of position, with the referee just seeing if the pink can go back on his spot there. And I don't think that will necessarily impact Mann in any way, shape or form, because there probably will be an advantage for him to try and get the black back to his spot very, very quickly. And, well, set himself up potentially for a straightforward clearance. For now, he will have to send the cue ball up towards the blue, and wants to be the top side of it though. Doesn't want to be facing a straight shot on this colour now, and looks like he will. So a little bit of a difficulty right now that he will experience. So just play through this blue and get himself lined up with a mid-range shot on this red into the cue ball nicely. So once again has got a couple of shots that you can try and take on here. Being 44 points down with 67 on the table. So certainly, as I say, it doesn't have to use the black until the last pot of the clearance. And he'll still be fine in terms of points. He's just trying to have a positional play on the reds. As once again, a little bit of a test right now. It's a mid-range shot there, and he needs to cue the white perfectly on this ping. Doesn't seem to be too happy with himself. Yeah, I think you'll ask the referee to keep an eye on this one because this is going to be close. Think he's going to be alright here, but we'll wait to see. And I think that was fine. The referee certainly didn't say anything, and the break will continue. So, a couple of difficult reds there out of the way, but still 3, I would say, partially easy ones, and one more a little bit closer to the left hand cushion. And as I said, Murphy will be frustrated with himself. Has to make sure that he doesn't underestimate Mitchell Mann, and I'm sure he don't at this moment in time, but still has to do better with the chances that present to himself, and also needs to get on top of his game in terms of the positional play. Right now, Mitchell Mann gets the rest out and sends the cue ball into the red, into the left corner here. Has to play this one along the cushion and be very precise with his shot. Because the cue ball will travel in towards the blue or pink, but he has to make sure that the red is in, and it's not going to be in, and it is going to be, once again, a chance to Shaun Murphy to have another go at this red, this time into the left corner. And very important for him to try and do something about this one, the break. And, well, Mitchell Mann had his chance, but this now is Shaun Murphy's frame for the taking. He needs to be very careful, though, with the first red to just drop this one in, get himself lined up on the pink, and he'll be nicely away. So once again, 38 points clear. Murphy has got a pink in towards the right corner and rolls this one in nicely. Yet again now 44 points clear, only 51 on the table. So this next red is going to be a frame ball, and it's a chance that Murphy is going to take from the second time of asking, and this time it will be Mitchell Mann kicking himself to an extent there. You know, feeling that he should have done better with the chance that was presented himself. Probably the only red that he actually managed to take on was the problem for him, and he didn't manage to handle the problem. And right now it's Murphy back to the table, getting all of the table time, gets the blue into the green pocket, and he's now 50 points clear right now. So just send the cue ball into the red here, get himself lined up very nicely. 51 points clear, so not going to see any more of Mitchell Mann here. And it's all about just rolling these colours and reds one by one. And get himself lined up on the red in towards the left corner. Deep screw into the cue ball. And he'll be nicely away for a chance of a total clearance barring the black. I mean, the red that Mitchell Mann has missed previously has gone into the black, has now pushed it on towards the middle of the black cushion. But Murphy is not going to care about that one too much, because he's nicely on the 6 remaining colours, starting with the yellow, and being on the break of 27 points, can still try and double that and make it 2 50 plus breaks in the opening frame for him. Will be a really nice start there from the world number 16. He has spoken actually about being out of the top 16 for a couple of weeks and ending a fantastic run of almost 20 years being inside of the world top 16. And yeah, he said it was nice to be outside of it for a couple of weeks, but this time it's all about business, and business as usual right now for Shaun Murphy, as he's looking to get himself once again into the semi-final spot, and still looking for some consistency in terms of the ranking event titles. The Masters last year was very much a surprise for everyone, including Shaun, and well, the Mitchell Mann is probably the lesser of the obstacle that he has to face ahead of himself, but you can only beat what's in front of you, and right now Shaun Murphy has managed to do enough in the opening frame, as he will roll the black in towards the corner and get himself a frame on the board very quickly here. So less than 15 minutes in, it is going to be Shaun Murphy 1, Mitchell Mann 0, and it's a great start now for Shaun, as the quarterfinal stage of the British Open is going to have best of 9 frames. And we are now down to just 2 table format, which is going to change come the semi-final tomorrow. Still looking forward to that one to an extent. And, well, as I say, Anthony McGill and Mark Selby are the 2 players who have already booked themselves into the semi-final. And could we see another man from England and another man from Scotland potentially, with them 2 being the highest seeds, John Higgins and Shaun Murphy? Selby is considered to be the favourite for the tournament, him having to play one leg less there and being through the quarter-final stage. John Higgins and Louis Heathcourt so far are battling through the first frame, but Shaun Murphy certainly got his on the board and right now leads Mitchell Mann by 1-0. And the second frame is going to begin very shortly here. And so far, Murphy, as I say, could have been better in terms of, he certainly could have been quicker to end the opening frame. He's gone for the positional shot on the black, which wasn't easy. He decided to take the black on in towards the left corner. That didn't quite work out for him at that time of asking. And in the end, it looks like it's all going to come down to nothing for the chance that Mitchell Mann has had to try and put himself past this. In the end, he didn't manage to do that. And, Mitchell Mann has to take this one in an aggressive way, especially with him being now a frame down. I don't think it's going to be a repeat of a fairy tale for him against Barry Hawkins. As I say, that was very much a defensive, and it was a smash and grab there. It wasn't really like he overplayed Barry Hawkins. It was just Hawkins making too many errors and just being probably something that you associate with name Hawkins, unfortunately, on the snooker tour. It's just lacking consistency there. And if you talk about the head-to-head, there's not a lot to say in between the two players, with them meeting 4 times, once in 2010, 2012, 2016 and 2024 at the China Grand Prix. Murphy managed to win 3 of the latest meetings, but Mann actually managed to win the opening meeting between the two of them. And right now, once again, has got red in towards the left corner to try and go for. In the end, he'll go for a safety instead. So, as I say, if he does play a safety, he better make sure it's a good safety, because if he's left the red now in towards the right middle for Murphy, it will be an absolute waste of a shot there for him. And instead, it looks like it'll be one of those safeties that he actually got away with it. Murphy again try and go for the red in towards the green pocket. Still not enough damage was done on the cue ball. Murphy will miss this red by a mile though. And is he going to give it away? I think he will. But he's going to give it away another red there in towards the right corner. So a first real chance now for Mitchell Mann. Certainly the one that he has to take on in one way, shape or form. I don't think he's going to play a safety off the shot right now. And he just has to be very careful in terms of his next shot selection. And plan well for the colour that he's going to try and land. Certainly taking this red on right now into the right corner. And has to make sure he gets this one in. And very surprised to see him play a safety shot of the red. As I say, he had to make sure he took it out of the game. But in the end, he didn't. And Shaun Murphy will be right now back at the table. And having, funnily enough, initiative at the safety battle right now. So he's got a red to try and play in towards the middle. With a cross double, sending the cue ball once again towards the green pocket. Where you can try and send one more red towards the bunch. And lead the cue ball away from the area and in towards and in behind the green here. So a nice shot there from him. And Mitchell Mann hasn't got too much area to try and work with. In fact, I think he's only got 3 reds to try and potentially deal with. The hardest of them all is going to be the one along the cushion. And it's actually the one that he's trying to take on. Certainly not going to be a long shot attempt, you would think. And, well, whatever it wasn't a well-executed shot, because Murphy will now have a chance himself to have a go at this red in towards the yellow pocket there. And we're very much looking forward to see what's going to happen here. Because should Murphy be well on this red and get himself onto a colour after it, he'll be nicely away. And let's see if he makes this one first. I don't think he will. That red is going to go wide there. And once again, Murphy not making the most out of the chances that he presenting to himself early here in the first couple of frames really. He's missed a couple in the frame number 1. And he's already missed 2 long shots in frame number 2 right now. Probably the red that Mitchell Mann can't afford to miss. Especially at the quarterfinal of a ranking event here. So has to roll this one in towards the yellow pocket. And a lot of topspin on the cue ball. And a natural angle of the rest will get himself lined up on one of the ball colours. But doesn't want to accelerate too much here. because that will allow himself, well, to be really not going into the reds, because I think he's landed too straight on the green into his own pocket. The brown is going to be straight, and if anything, he's going to send the cue ball towards the bulk area, which is the opposite side of what the aim should be, really. And, well, the option that he actually leaves himself with is probably going to be the blue in towards the right corner. And yet again, have a lot of topspin on this shot, and either try and send the cue ball into the bunch of reds, or get himself lined up on a plant of some sort in towards the left middle. But for now, he has to make sure that the blue is in. He will be in. And has he got himself lined up into the middle? I don't think he is. I think the only option that he's actually got ahead of himself is going to be a red in towards the yellow pocket now, with the distance in between the two reds being way too significant for him to try and take this red in towards the left middle. Try and take this one very carefully and screw the cue ball back for the black here. Then he'll miss the red, so once again a little bit of a waste there for Mann, only getting 6 points there. And Murphy will have himself lined up with the red in towards the green pocket. So far, a bit wasteful there yet again for Mann. And Murphy, despite him wasting a couple of chances of his own, he's still a frame ahead now of his opponent. The world number 91, one of the highest that we've seen throughout the last couple of seasons. And of course, the one that comes to mind is going to be Shaun there, with him being competing at the majority of the last season at an amateur status, and actually coming to win the World Championship and become the new world number 11 at this point of asking. Still not necessarily having the best start to his season, and being knocked out by John Higgins. He's going to be featuring on table 2 right now. And, well, we're going to see what Mitchell Mann is going to all about right now, because he's got a red potentially lined up in towards the left middle that he was looking and considering to try and play on for the majority of the time, but once again just doesn't seem to be up to the pace for now, Mitchell Mann. And Murphy could be looking at a potential whitewash if the things will continue this way, because yet again, weird shot selection from Mann, and not only didn't he leave a red pretty much lined up there for Murphy into the right middle, he also didn't manage to get any sort of traction on the cue ball. So Murphy will certainly take this gift there for him, get himself lined up on one of the ball colours. I think it will be the yellow for him at this time of asking. And being 5 points behind Mitchell Mann right now. So all about getting the next couple of colours in the line for him. And as I say, apart from that, the pink is out of position, but all the reds are spread out in the most beautiful way that you could actually hope them to be positioned on the snooker table. So Murphy is once again having another chance now for a more comfortable lead, and a 2-frame cushion there over Mitchell Mann. Yeah, up to get to speed there. And well, we could be looking at, as I say, 2 Scotsmen and 2 English players into the semi-final, with potentially an all-Scottish semi-final featuring Anthony McGill and potentially John Higgins, and Shaun Murphy or Mitchell Mann will be battling against Mark Selby. But we're yet to find out what is going to be the decision of the draw, with the way they do it. The British Open is going to be taking place today, as soon as the 2 quarter-final will finish, in between Higgins and Lou Heathcote. And of course, the man that we're watching right now, Mitchell Mann and Shaun Murphy, featuring on table 1. Murphy very much having all the screen time to himself right now. Once again, having another black in towards the right corner that he can try and play through the cue ball and get himself lined up really nicely on one of those reds in the same pocket. So for now, even though he has messed up a chance in the previous frame, he still finds himself in a very comfortable position. And I think being influenced massively by the fact that his opponent didn't really get himself up to speed in the opening frame, and hasn't managed to do that so far in frame number 2 either. So let's have a look what Murphy can do of this time of asking. His breaks have been 56 and 57 points to get himself a nice little win in the opening frame. But for now, it is 27 points on the board, 27 on the break, and still a lot of reds spread out for him really, really nicely. So still a chance to end the frame in the current visits to the table. And I think you'll have to work with some of these reds to an extent. I mean, 2 of them have actually been sent to the top part of the table in quite a nice way there for him. One goes easily into the right middle, another one will go into the green pocket. And for now, it's the black to go into the right corner, and a lot of traction on the cue ball. Once again, playing with the topspin here, getting himself lined up in towards the left mid, also being 29 points clear. And send the cue ball back again for the black here. So having to do a lot of work in terms of the spin time this time around for Shaun, but managing to do that ever so nicely so far, and getting himself through in a very nice fashion through this frame. Of course, the campaign that he's had in the British Open is somewhat remarkable, especially if he's going to take out the one of Mark Selby and John Higgins pair. Of course, if he does manage to beat Mitchell Mann in this best of 9 match, or first to 5, whatever you want to call it. But you know, when you try and beat the world number 3 and the world number 1 pretty much within 24 hours, it's a very, well, I say 24 hours, it almost was like 4 hours or something. And with the format that it was played, you know, the last 16 and the last 32 matches, there being barely an hour in between the time those 2 were played. But Murphy managed to get himself together, even though Trump was probably coming into the match as a massive favourite, especially just getting off the table against Martin O'Donnell and being up to speed. It certainly is. Murphy up to speed right now in the early stages of this quarterfinal. Gets himself 58 points clear right now, with this blue disappearing off into the distance. One more red and one more colour is all he needs for a nice little 2-0 lead. And, well, despite being a massive favourite before this match has even started, he's now going to be even more of a favourite, getting 2 early frames here and only making one mistake, really, since he had a chance to have a break in the opening frame. Didn't manage to sort of make any mistakes in the second time of asking. And, you know, started the second frame in a little bit of a scrappy fashion, but managed to get himself out of the comfort zone, and in the end producing a wonderful little break now of 75 points. GG, yes, certainly GG's now. He is going to be GG's number 2 for Shaun Murphy, but the question is that going to be a century break? I think it's unlikely, with the way one red is positioning himself into the right hand cushion. And apart from that, I think Murphy's going to be nicely away, but yeah, decides to go for a little bit of an exhibition shot, so the break will end on just 75 points scored. Not quite a century break, but certainly Shaun Murphy dominating the play earlier on, and he's now looking for a nice little gap to have of his own out of Mitchell Mann. And once again, as the frame will end, just have a look how the other match is doing. And Louis Heathcote is actually dominating John Higgins and being on the break right now, so will have his chances risen massively to win the opening frame. And something that you have to do in such a short format. It's only best of 9, and it is the quarter-final stage, remember. Shaun Murphy managed to do that in the early 2 frames against Mitchell Mann. Is John Higgins going to be able to do the same thing in his pursuit of a semi-final yet again? You know, Murphy, Selby and Higgins have actually probably been one of the best top-seeded players, apart from maybe Neil Robertson, if you look at the campaign of this season. And of course, we already had a confirmation that we're going to have a brand new final yet again, with the likes of Ali Carter, Kyle Wilson, Sarah Godon, Gary Wilson, Neil Robertson and Ronnie O'Sullivan all being eliminated. And you add, well, the runner-up and the winner of the English Open, Joey Long and Mark Cullen, to that equation as well, with Joey Long being the only player of all of them that didn't actually participate in the tournament, and we're going to have a brand new pairing for the final, and therefore a brand new winner yet again. But who is he going to be? The odds say it's going to be Mark Selby, but Shaun Murphy, I'm pretty sure, has got something to say about that, with him being on the form of his life, and, well, still not showing any signs of slowing down just yet, as he is off to a great start against Mitchell Mann, leads him by 2-0. And as I say, the worrying thing for Mann is going to be the fact that he's only got 20 points as his highest break. And of course, in the second frame, he didn't get any of those points on the board, scoring just 20 points of a single break in frame number 1. Is, well, the amount of points that he managed to accumulate, getting himself 6 more in the second frame. And, well, now has got a massive mountain ahead of him to try and climb, if he is to get back within, hopefully for himself, winning positions of this frame and match. But until then, it's going to be a struggle, because Murphy seems to be finding some sort of his form. And as we've seen throughout his campaign, it's going to be enough for him to try and defeat the players of the sort of Mitchell Mann's caliber. And he was actually battling against Watchalong with a 3-1 lead. The world number 1 managed to get himself 2 frames on the board, but Murphy managed to take a nervy decider for him and get himself into the quarterfinal for, I'm pretty sure, the first time of this season. In fact, I am not just sure. I know that it is the first time, because he didn't have a brilliant campaign up until the English Open. He managed to get some sort of traction on that tournament at the home nation start, but right now it's a mistake there from Murphy, as he gets down for the shot real quickly, and Mitchell Mann have a goal at the red into the left corner here. So we'll try and get himself lined up for a straightforward opener. But even though he's had those in both the opening and the second frame, he didn't manage to take the chances that were certainly ahead of him. And right now finds himself being, well, I'm not even sure if it's a mountain for him or it's a mission impossible already. Having only lost the opening 2 frames, it already seems like too big of a gap for him to try and climb. And Shaun Murphy once again will send the cue ball in towards the lower part of the table to get the edge of one of those reds, get the cue ball in behind the yellow. Nicely done there once again. So Murphy certainly back to the top 16 in the world. That will come in very handy ahead of the tournaments like the International Championship and, well, Champions of Champions certainly, and the UK Championship is going to be a massive factor as well for him, with us about to reach one of the most interesting points of the calendar year. As, we're not going to get 2 triple crowns until the 2026, with the Masters and the World Championship still being yet to come, but the UK Championship is only sort of 6 weeks away from us, and the likes of Northern Ireland Open, Shaun Grand Prix are all going to be, well, coming up very, very shortly, and still no real sign of Lewis Heathcote or John Higgins settling the debate on the opening frame. And right now, Murphy just having a look to see which is the best position for him to try and send the cue ball up towards. I don't think it's going to be a straightforward shot for Mitchell Mann after this one, because Murphy, I'm pretty sure, has got a touch and ball on this red, which is the reason why he's just looking to try and send the cue ball away from the back here and in towards the bulk area. So a straightforward 2 cushion escape there for him. Get himself lined up above the brown and nicely onto the ball cushion. Nicely done yet again. And he'll find himself, Mitchell Mann, struggling for some of the access to those reds earlier on here. And, well, I mean, I think you can see enough of the right-hand side of the reds, but it's probably not worth taking on this shot, and just go for a straightforward 1 cushion escape off the right-hand side of the table and send the cue ball down into the bunch and hopefully miss the pink there, which is something that he didn't manage to do. So there will be a foul there, called by the referee, and 6 points once again to Shaun Murphy, something that we've seen in frame number 2. And attempt number 2 coming up right now. for Mitchell Mann. I think, and as we go back to table 2 here, it is Lou Heathcote and John Higgins battling away there. 26 points in between the two of them. And now with 3 reds still on the table, Lou Heathcote goes for a safety shot that in the end works out perfectly for him. Doesn't leave anything away to John Higgins, who has got 2 reds on the left hand side cushion, and also blue and the pink being very much out of position as well. So it's going to be a difficult job there for Higgins to try and get himself back in the opening frame. And this trajectory of the cue ball does not look good at all for Mitchell Mann, because he's going to leave a red away now to Shaun Murphy. And the question is Murphy going to take this red in towards the right corner? It's probably the one that he has to take, because I certainly don't think that Mitchell Mann will make the same error. And Murphy doesn't think so, so he thinks that he can actually get himself into the better position, as Mitchell Mann will be forced to take on attempt number 3 here, and hopefully for himself get a little bit closer to this thread at this time of asking. And he'll just argue with the referee a little bit over the cue ball position, make sure it's exactly as it was just a couple of moments ago. But yeah, from Murphy's point of view, there's not really a lot that he can try and do on top of winning the frames that and taking the chances that were presented ahead of himself. You know, he only needed 1 in frame number 2, but in fairness to him, it was a pretty good position that he managed to get hold of. The opening frame was struggling to an extent there to get himself into the prime position on the black, and in the end, cost him the positional shot off the red into the black there. Decided to go for the black, but in the end missed it and gave away a chance to Mitchell Mann, but only managed to score 20 points. And he's still looking to see what's going to happen with these bunch of reds. And does he go for do or die shot here? Does he try and send the cue ball into the red and try and pot it into the left corner? Not sure Mann is good enough to pose a threat to Murphy. Well, probably, but going into this match, and I'm certainly going to say probably not after this shot. It was very reckless, and once again, it could cost him the frame here. But you have to ask, how did he manage to get here? It's a quarter-final, it's not like it's the first round. He managed to beat some of the good opponents there. Barry Hawkins in the last 16 by 4 frames to 2 there. And, well, it could have been Murphy against Hawkins clash, but it is going to be Mitchell Mann against Shaun Murphy. But as I say, right now, it is all of Shaun Murphy's taking all the screen time to himself. Once again, has got a brilliant position in this frame number 3. Probably the best of them all that he's had so far. And just try to roll the red in towards the left corner right now. Get himself lined up once again for the black here. And try and accumulate as many of those points as possible, being in and around the black spot. But as I say, the world number 91, Mitchell Mann, I think it's going to be a very tough ask for him to try and defeat the world number 16, Shaun Murphy. And as I say, of course, I haven't seen a lot of his game. I've seen some of the highlights, but I was looking forward to see what he's going to bring to the table. But it was always going to be one of those matches that he has to play at his best or somewhat near his best. And you have to see Murphy with a little bit of deep in form, something that we haven't seen yet from either one of those two. Mitchell Mann not getting 2 shots together really in a sequence, and Murphy taking all of the chances so far that have been presented to himself. But this time, don't think he played this shot to an extent that he could have. And as he ran himself out of position here, scoring only 24 points. Certainly hasn't got anything towards the left corner, right corner. Yeah, he just ran himself out of reds here. Tried to send the cue ball into the punch, but in the end, not necessarily getting a lot of traction on the cue ball. And I don't think you can see the red into the green pocket either. So Murphy will just have to evaluate the option that he's got ahead of himself. And, well, if he wants to go for a reckless shot, you can try and go for a cross double in towards the right middle. But I don't think that'll work out. I think Shaun wins this frame too. I mean, it's going to be a little bit more difficult for him right now, because he's going to have to find himself playing a safety shot. Unless, as I say, he goes for a cross double, which he won't. So just send the cue ball in towards the yellow spot. But I'll be honest with you, with the way that I've seen, I am going to say he's going to win every frame. I haven't seen anything of Mitchell Mann that makes me feel like, oh, you know, unless he gets a golden chance, he'll sort of make anything out of it. 20 points with the chances that he's had already. I mean, dare I say it, I could have probably got 20 points with that. It's like, what? It's 3 reds and 2 colours. Is what he managed to get. That's not good enough in the opening 2.5 frames. With the chance, like, as I say, it's not like Murphy's been playing the form of his life so far. He's had at least 2 chances in the opening frame. He's had more than that in the second frame. And, well, not necessarily had anything in the frame number 3. But has to work for it right now. Murphy will just get more and more comfortable. You can see him going for the reds that you'll never go for if that's your chump. Because he knows that he can sort of afford that. And it's a little bit of a mean thing to say, but it's also realistic. And Murphy's not going to be sitting back too much. He's going to sense blood, and he's going to smell it. And he's going to try to go for the kill here. And I think the aim for Murphy is going to have to be a 4-0 lead at the intermission. And sort of destroy Mann mentally until then. And it's not like he's helping himself, because he's just put one more red over the right corner. And this is turning into a little bit of a battery here. Don't quite remember the last time when I've seen a 5-0 win in the quarterfinal. But we could be more than halfway there now, with Murphy being on the break yet again. Been 35 points clear already. More than halfway into winning this third frame. And I think it'll be a nice little bonus. As I say, I think he deserves it after playing 2 matches against the world number 1 and 3 there in a space of a couple of hours. I think he sort of deserves a straightforward match, which so far, not saying anything about its ending, but so far in the opening 2.5 frames, almost 3 frames right now, it has been more than straightforward for Murphy. He didn't have to work for his chances. It's not like he's played brilliant safety either, but I think his pot success is going to improve massively over the average of the tournaments. And being 50 points clear right now. And it's all going down great there for Mitchell Mann, of course. In the opening frame, managed to get 20 points on the board. In the second one, only 6 there. And I don't think he'll get any in frame number 3 now, because Murphy is only a couple of reds and colours away from making it a 3-0 lead there within what we had in terms of minutes, 44 minutes. You take away maybe 5 or 6 minutes of the frame breaks in between. And 3 frames win in 40 minutes. It'll be a hell of a statement there from Murphy. And as I say, from what I've seen from him, and it's probably a little bit of a bad thing for me to say, but I'll be really looking forward to see him in the semi-final and the final, should he get there. And, well, I think if he does convert this performance so far into a comfortable win against Mitchell Mann, he'll be my pick for the winner of this tournament by a margin. Still don't think we've seen the best of Higgins. Certainly don't think we've seen the best of Selby there. And if you're going to go for Anthony McGill, you're going to be very much going for the underdog there against the big 3. And yeah, so in terms of Higgins and Selby, whilst Murphy gets himself ever closer to a frame ball, I think he can afford to send the cue ball into the reds and have himself lined up for a red into the middle, which is exactly what he's done. So even though he hasn't landed on the red here, he's got 2 of those that he was actually saving for himself into either left or right middle. Once again, no hesitation there on the shot. And nice in terms of potting it. Not necessarily so nice in terms of getting himself on the colour. Blue or black now. I think he'll take for the blue into the green pocket. But if you talk about Selby or Higgins, as I say, I think a little bit more of analysis can be said about Higgins once, or if he manages to get himself into a semi-final, as Murphy goes for a wonderful blue in towards the green pocket. Certainly frame over right now, and it's a 3-0 lead there for Murphy in no time at all. 77 points, so I don't think he gets a century break, although he's on 43 right now. The black will make it a 50 break yet again here, so I think he's got just about enough reds in terms of getting himself for a century, but the green and brown are the two colours that are currently out of position as well. So it's probably the earliest that you've seen a century break start. Just on 51 points right now on the WST play. And once again, Mitchell Mann just has to watch Shaun Murphy getting all of the table time, something that probably he could have prepared himself for, but it's a horrible feeling when you just sat in your chair being cold and you can't do anything about your opponent having, well, a campaign and a match of his life so far. I don't really remember Shaun Murphy being off to a quarter-final lead of 3-0, but of course context does matter, and he would have been an absolute massive favourite going into this match, and I think the odds for Shaun Murphy win are going to disappear with him having a 3-0 lead, I should say. After this frame is going to be on his board as well. And for now, you roll the pink in towards the right corner and making a really nice shot, the one that counts for him. So 107 points on the points tally there for Murphy. And average shot time just says it all there. 29 seconds is their average shot time for Mitchell Mann. Just shows you how many of those shots were the safety play and how few of those have been the break building chances. That I have to say once again and emphasize that Murphy has given so many of those in the opening 2 frames. And I don't think he's given any in this frame though, because he had 2 chances. And after missing the opening one, he did opt to go for a safety shot. Forced Mitchell Mann to go for 2 reds there later on. And in the end, it looks like it will be a century hunt for Murphy. If he does manage to get the cue ball into the good position for the yellow, he can try and send it towards the green. And then you never know, he only needs sort of those 4. And then he'll be nicely away. That will get him to 14 points. And that will actually get him to 99 points. But in the end, as I say, if he gets himself onto a blue and he manages to pot the blue, certainly won't be an issue. But for now, he's got a semi-difficult green to try and roll in towards the green pocket. So just play through this one, and he'll miss this one. So once again, just improving bit by bit there, Murphy. But still, no century break for now. But it is a 3-0 lead there for the world number 16, as he is looking to end the first mini-session with a brilliant whitewash there and be 80% into the semi-final. Mitchell Mann has got it all to do ahead of himself, with it being Shaun Murphy 3, Mitchell Mann 0. And with us finishing the opening 3 frames in the 4th quarter-final, and we actually seen the first frame end in between John Higgins and Lou Heathcote. Yes, we have. And it's actually not gone the way that I was planning it to. Lou Heathcote managed to take the opening frame off John Higgins, and is actually on a break right now in the frame number 2 as well. So looking forward to see how that one will pan out. And for now, as I say, not a lot you can actually say about this match. Murphy, not going to say he's flawless, but he's certainly doing all the work that he has to. And the worst thing for Mann is, it's been getting worse and worse with every single frame. You know, the opening frame, he had some chances. He managed to get 20 points on the board. He should have got more had he not missed the red. And the second frame, he only managed to get 6 points on the board. Murphy managed to, make that break the only one that counts for him. And the third frame has actually seen and been the worst for him. Only having 1 chance to have a go at the red along the cushion. Murphy probably was happy to leave that red there for Heathcote. And yet again, needing 2 chances there, Murphy. So still yet to make the first visit to the table, the one that counts. But so far, not helping himself there, Mitchell Mann. Has to gather his thoughts. And, I mean, going into the intermission with a 3-1 gap is probably not a death sentence just yet. But it's just about as close as you can get to one, because 4-0. And you may as well not turn up for the second mini-session there, because it's going to be all over there. It may be all over already. It depends which Mitchell Mann are we going to get for the next, potentially just 2 frames. Because it's Shaun Murphy with a break-off shot right now. Send the cue ball towards the reds. Get himself lined up for a quick wait in his chair. Hopefully get the cue ball as close to the ball carriers as possible. So not getting the most out of this one. And leaves the red potentially on for Mitchell Mann. into the right corner. Looking forward to see how this one will work out for him. Just roll this one in and try and stick for the black there. That was the aim. He doesn't want to catch a double kiss though, and he will. So this turns into an absolute nightmare. Another quick match. I think for the best of 9, this could be the quickest of them all. We've not even had an hour mark there, and I think the intermission is going to be probably the longest part about this match. 15 minutes. Shaun Murphy may as well say, can we not have an intermission? Can I just try and get this match sorted as quickly as possible? Because he got himself a chance there to have one more red into the right corner. But surprised to see 3-0 is a serious advantage. Well, try 5 there. Murphy had a brilliant chance to send the cue ball into the bunch of reds. In the end, missed them altogether. Could have been with a great chance there. And this is just turning into a little bit of an exhibition match. As I say, there's no way Murphy's taking that shot the way he did, in the fashion that he did, if he's actually playing someone from the world, even top 32 there, because he had so many reds to try and actually work with, that he decided not to take either of one of them, and in the end ran himself out of position. So, has to stay focused there, Murphy, and not get too complacent, but as I say, 3-0 lead, he may as well do whatever he wants, as long as that makes him win those frames. But doesn't look like this break is going to be a part of that winning process, because he's going to get himself 6 points, and that's going to be it there for him. And not really finding himself into too much of a pressure zone. But as I say, he needs to be playing better than this if he wants to try and challenge the other top-seeded players that are left in the tournament, Mark Selby and John Higgins. But once again there, Murphy going for a quick resolution to this frame, going for a very aggressive red there into the left corner. In the end, he'll leave a very good chance now for Mitchell Mann, and it certainly will be already a better frame for him than frame number 3, because he does manage to get himself on the board, with it being a single point just yet, and the black to go into the right corner. Roll this one in, and have a shot at one more red into the left corner. Yellow's a possibility. Nah, I think the one that you were talking for Murphy, I think that was covered up by the red there, so he's gone for the blue. He's managed to take this one on. Potted the blue, yeah, this is what I'm saying. And he managed to miss. Well, he didn't really land on the red, but he missed the following one into the left corner. But as I say, Mitchell Mann is on a break of 9 points, but straight away finds himself with a difficult black to try and take on. And dare I say it, one miss is all it takes for Mitchell Mann to lose a frame. But right now, he's still got a chance now. Has to focus on this black and has to get this one in, and he will. So he's not there yet, but is he going to find himself on the red? Probably not once again there. And really surprising shot there for him. And maybe a little bit of an inexperience, maybe just focusing too much on the pot, because the black went straight into the heart of the pocket. Nothing wrong with that shot in terms of the angle, so obviously judged either spin or power wrong. Has got a plan to try and take on into the right corner, but as I say, the cue ball is going to go into the reds there, so don't think that's a short selection that he'll actually fancy himself. With Murphy enjoying himself too much now. Yeah, so I'm saying, you take this one as a practice table. I don't think I understand that approach from him. Surely just try and get this match over when you can. It's not like you're playing against an amateur. The last thing you want to do right now is give Mitchell Mann a form to find himself into this frame, get a frame, maybe 2 on the board, and all of a sudden you will regret all those shot selection. But as I say, can't really give advice to Murphy. He managed to knock out the world number 1 and 3 in the space of 2 hours yesterday. So, yeah, don't play with your food. Yeah, this is what I'm saying. Let's see what Mitchell Mann can do of this, though. He's already managed to make his highest break of the frame, though, end of the match. Be done with it ASAP and more. Yeah, exactly. Just get yourself more of a rest time ahead of the semi-final. You still don't know whether you have to play it in the afternoon or the evening session. So recovery time will do nicely there for him. Potentially got to bed early. And don't take this into midnight is what I would say. But let's see what Mann can do. He's not got too many reds available right now to him. I think all of them have to go into the left corner. 20 points clear right now. Still 107 on the table. So very, very far from it being job done there for Mann. And the best thing and the best piece of news that I can actually give to him is if he doesn't miss any of the shots, he still has a chance to win this match. But apart from that, his chances and options are going to be limited here. And has to go for an extension shot on this cue. Try and set the red in towards the left corner. But once again, sending the cue ball into the danger area of reds. And has to get a lot of cue action to get himself on the blue. And unfortunately, once again missing a red. Is he going to leave the same red over the middle for Shaun Murphy? Yes, he will. And, well, this is the time for Murphy to finally get himself over the line and surely just make it a matter of time until he is the third semi-finalist. Has got the red on the plate now for him into the left middle. And, well, I'll tell you who's going to be frustrated more than anyone. Barry Hawkins. I know that sometimes you can be one man in the last 16 match and very different in the quarterfinal, but Barry Hawkins, he could have provided us with a little bit more of entertainment, as I say, had he managed to get himself over the line there, but Mann is certainly not obliged to do that, as he's getting himself 14,000 ranking points, something that for his level of being the world number 91, certainly not going to be bad news. But it looks like he is going to be the maximum that he can try and count on here. Murphy once again having a little bit of a top job with the blue here. Getting the wrong side of it and just having to see which one of those reds he can try and go for. I mean, if he does fancy himself with some confidence, he can try and send the cue ball around the table. And the alternative is going to be having the yellow into its own pocket. So you'll go for the straightforward shot and sending the cue ball up around the table. I think he's actually accelerated way too much into the cue ball. So as I say, it's been far from ideal there from Murphy. And well, it's Mann's fault really that hasn't got a lot to show for that. And it's still a 3-0 lead that he has to actually face himself with. Murphy surely will take a red into the middle. And he'll take this one on brilliantly there. So, looks like he ran himself out of position on the previous shot. Managed to recover really well here. And we'll have the cue ball lined up on the blue yet again here into the left middle. Only 10 points behind Mann with 83 on the table. So as long as the blue goes in, he'll be in much better position in amongst the reds. So right now being 5 points behind there. And on the break of 15 points, the red will go past the black here. But not the ideal position in terms of the cue ball placement. Being right on the cushion. So play through this one. Get himself lined up on the black into either left or right corner there. And potentially have the blue as the alternative. But, I mean, he hasn't played this one too well there, Murphy. He's barely managed to get the red in. And he ran himself completely out of position on either black or pink. Shaun Murphy will get a kick. I mean, he'll need to get probably 50 of those kicks if he is to lose this match, I'll be honest. Because you can only beat what's in front of you, but you can only be as good as you actually are there. And Mann hasn't shown anything that makes me feel like he will take a single frame there of Shaun Murphy, apart from if he actually starts to do some ridiculous stuff. But he has to be playing better than that, to be fair. He's run himself out of position way too many times during this break. It hasn't been easy, but it hasn't been too difficult. And has to find himself playing for a safety shot on this green. And get the cue ball in behind the yellow here. So it's the break of 16 points, which is going to be the end of Shaun Murphy for now at the table time. But there I say it, I think he will come back for one way or the other onto the table in this frame alone, let alone the match there. And, well, let's see for now what Mitchell Mann can do in terms of the safety play. It's a decent shot there from Murphy, because it doesn't leave Mann with anything really, apart from trying to go a cushion first shot, two cushion escape into the red from behind, but doesn't want to pass it by too much of an angle, because that will leave a straightforward red into the right corner. In the end, it's a decent execution there from Mann, but as you can see, his safety play has been horrendous. 58% in comparison to 100% safety success from Murphy. And he's taking this red into the left middle. I mean, it's probably one shot too many for him to try and take on there, and always looked like it was missable. Murphy does miss this red, so probably the first kick of the 50 required, as I say. But Mitchell Mann still hasn't got anything easy to himself. Has got a red to try and take on into the left middle, but it's a difficult one. But the cue ball is going to be heading towards the black there, so the natural angle is going to be nice there for him. But he'll miss the red yet again. And yeah, it's certainly not turning into a brilliant spectacle for the neutral fans. I'll tell you that for free. Perhaps if Mitchell Mann gives up his pro license and goes amateur, you'll beat... I'm not too sure which one, Murphy, but I was actually seeing, you know, that there's a Q School qualifying going, and there's Anthony Murphy playing there. And, well, listen, it's all fun and games, but you have to be better than that when you're in the quarter-final, playing against the world number 16 here. And Murphy once again gets himself in with a chance, but yet again ran himself out of position on the blue. And just about gets this one in, yet again, into the green pocket. So, decent there, but once again, not perfect on the red to go into the green pocket. I don't think the closest one to him will actually pass the blue. So he has to go for the more difficult of the two, and he actually managed to take this one into the middle. So finally, Shaun Murphy about to get himself into a really nice position for a 4-0 lead. And still 59 points on the table. Has been a dreadful frame in terms of breaks here by either one of the players. But in the end, I suppose at this stage for Murphy, it's all about just getting over the line, and certainly trying to do that with a 5-0 lead advantage. And he's very close to doing that right now, aiming for a 4-0 lead. 3 reds still on the table after his black, and he'll need all 3 of them to get himself over the line here. And once again, it's not been good enough there from Murphy, you have to say that. But what could have been, I mean, if Mitchell Mann was actually playing some of the form that he's shown against Barry Hawkins, this could have been a decent matchup. But for now, it's Murphy once again running himself out of position. Has to go for a double here, and looks like he will miss this one. And he actually will underrun the red. So, I mean, Murphy has been far from ideal, especially in the 4th frame. Don't take the foot off the pedal, really. I mean, I don't know what on earth he's doing playing doubles like that. It is setting into a little bit of a circus show from Murphy's point of view, because he may have actually, you never know, just gifted the frame to Mitchell Mann. He's certainly gifted him a red in towards the right middle. But it doesn't look like he'll actually take anything apart from a single point there. Man is now 51 to win. I'm going to put 3 grand on him. I mean, put 5 from me as well, because I mean, that will put us into millionaire category. But I think it's more likely that, you know, each of us is going to survive 250 years on this planet Earth. And Mitchell Mann overcoming the struggling Shaun Murphy, of course, still has been far from ideal. But Mitchell Mann has to start getting some of the sequence of reds and colours, and for now he can't even make that after Murphy leaves him with an easy red into the right middle, tries to go for a red for some reason, in the end runs himself out of position, and to be fair to him, plays a decent safety shot at this time of asking. So, can try and go for sending the cue ball into the left hand side of the table here, Murphy. Try and play cushion first yet again here. Get himself lined up into either left or right corner. And I think he'll go for a more straightforward safety shot, trying to catch the red barely on the edge there. And I mean, what on earth is that shot selection there from Murphy? And at some stage, Mitchell Mann has to say, you know what, enough is enough, and I have to win this frame just for my pride, because the mistakes that Murphy was making are absolutely unforgivable. And, well, I mean, Mitchell Mann once again has got a brilliant chance right now to try and make himself a frame on the board here. And it'll be a massive win for him. And it's a start there. As I say, jokes aside, this match is not over yet. It could have been over with a 4-0 lead. It's certainly not over with a 3-1 lead. And it's certainly something that is possible for Mitchell Mann. And right now, it's very much in his hands, being 4 points down here on Murphy. Still 35 points on the table. The red is not going to be an issue for him. So all about the green and the pink for a total clearance. I don't think he'll actually need the pink. So all about trying to get himself on that green, off the yellow. And needs a nice little transition off this black. So screw back into the cue ball. Potentially have that right hand side cushion to his advantage as well. And get himself lined up once again on the yellow. So it's a decent line there from the cue ball. Not necessarily the perfect pace, because he needed to have a minimal angle to try and get himself on the green. I think he's got way too much of that. So unless he goes for a double, I think there's not a lot he can really try and do with his green. He's gone for the attempt of a cannon, and he's actually probably landed perfectly for the double here. Mitchell Mann is my best mate. I'm a broke lift at work, so I have to watch this way. And appreciate you showing the respect he deserves when you 200 quid on him. Come on, mate. Let's see. As I say, it could have been better there for him in terms of a start. I certainly don't think he's done himself too much of a favour. But he'll put himself into a lot better of a position if he manages to take these double on. And he didn't. But to be fair to him, still played a decent safety shot there. So, as I say, I have managed to win 5-4. The fact that I've had 4 chats, every single one of them saying that, from 4 different people by the way, and 4 of them saying that Mitchell Mann is going to win this match. And I'd love to have some of what you're drinking, really, because, I mean, can I take that back right now? Murphy just missed a straightforward shot into the green, 16-1. I heard it was 50-1 just a couple of moments ago. And it may have gone 16-1 because of the miss there from Murphy. And 14 points right now to separate himself off Mitchell Mann. And still 25 on the table. One thing that Murphy had to do was not to get complacent. And he's managed to get the green from the second time of asking, to be fair to him. Is he going to get the blue in the way? No, he won't. So, still in with a chance there, man. As he gets himself 49 points on the board. So, 16-1, 4-5-4 prediction. Oh, I get what you're saying. So, for exact scoreline, I mean, the fact that it's 16-1 is, I mean, it's beyond baffable to me. And beyond laughable, I was meant to say, and beyond baffling there. But we could still all be proven wrong here. And Mitchell Mann, for now, will send the green up towards its own pocket. Fingers crossed. Well, I suppose it is for you. And I just want to get a little bit of a better play here from either one of the two. I mean, I know that Murphy's got himself a nice little cushion of 3 frames to 0. But he's still nowhere near enough his form that he was be showing against the likes of Robertson and Chump in this tournament already. And has got a decent line this time of the cue ball, but in the end compromises the brown as well, which is not going to be a good news for him. But to be fair, Mitchell Mann will need the green, brown and blue triangle to get himself over the frame ball line. So for now he has a shot to green into the yellow pocket. And decides to turn that down and go for a safety shot. Not too sure that was the right shot to play. Sending the green so close to the pink here. Can actually give Shaun Murphy a chance to either develop the pink in towards the green pocket and send the green back down the table. And very much split the two well, the cue ball and the green here, or try and put cue ball in behind the pink. Get himself lined up with a potential snooker situation. And once again, it's a good shot there from Murphy. Is there a break after this frame? Certainly is there, because it's a best of 9. And, well, we've finally seen a little bit of battle that Mann is putting up here. And, well, let's see if we are going to witness a frame on the board now. And just as I say that, Mann plays a horrible safety shot, gives away a green to try and take on there for Murphy for a potential safety shot there. So send the green towards the pocket and get the cue ball very much onto the top part of the baulk line. The brown is waiting there for you. And you never know, you can still try and get the clearance off this table. It's not going to be easy though, with the way the green, brown and pink are positioned. He was fist bumping himself after getting the long pot. I mean, I don't think he comes across to me like that. I would probably call lie on that, but as I say, I certainly wasn't there in Dublin. And haven't heard stories like that previously. But for now, Murphy, once again, he had a shot there to have a go at the green. He didn't manage to take anything out of it. And in the end, Mann once again will have a chance to take a shot at this green in towards the right corner. It's going to be really difficult and a real challenge there for him to try and get the cue ball up the table and line himself up for the brown. But it's certainly not beyond the realms of possibility. And another shot that he can try and go for is send the cue ball in behind the black here. Come on, man. Well, let's see. As I say, still nothing to separate the two in terms of the safety battle. Has been a little bit better in terms of the safety play there from Mitchell. But Shaun certainly doesn't feel like he's under any sort of pressure. And he probably feels like just a matter of time until he takes one of those greens in towards his pocket. And that time has come there for him. And he's missed it. So come on, man. It's probably justifiable right now because he's got a brilliant chance. Probably the best one that he'll get in the entire quarterfinal clash against Shaun Murphy. And he has got a shot at this green now, although he does have the wrong angle here to try and get himself lined up for the brown in towards the yellow pocket here. So, going to be an issue there for him. Certainly the longest frame that we've seen by some distance here, the 4th frame, and players getting all the table time that they possibly can ahead of their 15 minutes intermission. So I think Mann will just settle for rolling the green in towards the pocket. Great commentary, by the way, mate. Cheers. Appreciate that, Tom. Lovely stuff there. And as I say, British Open still not necessarily having all the hype in the world with it still being such a brand new tournament, but loads of action still to come. Xi'an Grand Prix, Northern Ireland Open, the two main tournaments for you in October with the International Championship qualifiers, as well as pretty sure it's going to be Scottish Open qualifiers as well there. For now, all eyes on this 3rd quarter-final on table number 1, and it looks like it is going to be a brown ball safety battle. Mann has got a little bit of a free shot right now, and the break will end on just 3 points there for him. Shaun Murphy has got the brown now to try and send down the table. And once again, we'll have a go at bringing the pink into the action here. He's got an angle to try and do that. It just depends which shot selection he actually tries to go for. And he's managed to develop a pink, but he's had to sacrifice the position on the brown. Not getting any sort of distance there in between the cue ball and the brown itself. Although not leaving it into the left middle is already a bonus there, with the way this particular frame has gone. And a cross double maybe for Mann. You never know. Getting the cue ball in behind the blue or somewhere in that zone. But this is an absolute horrible way to try and play that shot. Because not only did he not get the brown save, he also got the cue ball into the blue. And, well, I mean, He's basically shot himself on the foot 3 times there. The cue ball is not safe. The brown is not safe. And he's just put blue into even better position there for him. So it's all about taking this brown there for Murphy. And he can't do that. So once again, all or nothing for Mitchell Mann. And it's probably, and I'm going to say definitely, the last chance for him to stay in this match right now. If he misses this brown, surely, with the way he has to play this shot, he'll leave it over the corner pocket. And if he makes this one, the blue is all it takes for him to get himself a frame on the board. But he'll miss this brown by such a long way there. I mean, I did say he was likely to leave it over the corner pocket, but he didn't even catch the jaws there. And the brown basically going back on his spot here. Travelling so much of a distance, Shaun Murphy will try and replicate that shot to an extent. You would think there, but he didn't want to do that. He tried to use the pink as the buffer in between the cue ball and the brown. In the end, it's a decent safety shot, and that will do. Certainly, I think it's back to business now for Murphy. I think he took the funny side of the game for a couple of moments there, but certainly back to business, and it's all about business now for Murphy. Gets himself in with a nice position in terms of just sitting back in his chair and potentially watching his opponent struggle on the safety shot. Don't think he's going to try and roll the brown in towards the corner pocket. If what the camera is suggesting, and the cue ball is going to be very close towards the corner pocket. Just about misses it though in the end. The cue ball not dropping in. It's a decent safety shot there from Mann. And, well, once again, switching the run of play is a logical shot selection there for Murphy. Try and send the brown onto the lower part of the table and get the cue ball somewhat safe. But he's tried to take it up a level there, Murphy. And I said it's all about business. And he's managed to take the brown in towards the yellow pocket. Now, if he takes this blue, he's got every single chance of making a total clearance and putting all the struggles behind him for a 4-0 lead. And that 16-1 prediction will certainly be more like 1600-1. And Murphy doesn't feel like that though. So I think he's finally remembered that this is the quarterfinal and he has to take this one as business as usual. Despite who he's, no matter who's he's playing. Mitchell Mann once again has got a difficult safety ahead of him to try and play. And switches the run of play here. Going pretty much full ball there into the blue, but doesn't want to catch the jaws of the middle. Just about misses those. And has he left the blue into the yellow pocket there for Murphy? I think he has, but also has he got an angle to try and get himself towards the green pocket for the pink here? Don't think he does. So has to hesitate probably on this shot. And probably just a cross double there for him. Try and get the blue in behind the pink, or, well, in one way, shape or form. In the end, he's done exactly that. Would have liked the cue ball to be a little bit closer to the black though, because that would have made the shot a lot harder there for Mann. And right now, probably catch the thin edge of the blue and get the cue ball in behind the pink potentially from the right hand side of the table. And he's played this one for a double kiss there, clearly. Calculate his shot, but whatever, he was trying to count there and calculate the angle. I think it's going to be a massive disappointment if Shaun Murphy doesn't come away from this shot with the Mitchell Mann facing a very difficult snooker. And it looks like that will be the case because the blue is actually going up very close towards the corner pocket, and he'll miss this one by a little bit of margin. And it is a massive waste there from Murphy. He should have been frame and potentially 4-0 lead there for him, because even an amateur could have had a goal to roll the cue ball in behind the pink there. He didn't manage to do that, and in the end was actually closer to potting the blue than getting the snooker in behind the pink. Come on, man, make it 3-1. Well, in terms of the points tally, still will need the blue and the pink, I'm pretty sure. So, no, actually, he only needs one of those colours, so it's a massive advantage there for him, because the blue will put him 14 points clear and pretty much game over there on the pink and black. Although, You would say that normally, but Shaun Murphy has already managed to do it twice there when he was facing a snooker down on 3 colours on the table or so. Managed to get the snooker back against Neil Robertson and Scott Donaldson earlier in this tournament. But of course, it's one thing doing it on 3 colours, and it's a very different thing trying to do it with only pink and black on the table. But now it's all to play for on the blue. And the cue ball is going to be sent back towards the lower part of the table. 100%. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, you have to take these shot by shot there from Mann. And no matter how much Murphy is going to be taking these ones, no matter how seriously Murphy is going to be taking this quarterfinal, it's going to mean more for Mitchell Mann inevitably because of his status in the world ranking titles and just the amount or the absence of the amount of those semi-finals that he actually has to his name. So he has to just try and frustrate Murphy out of the game and force himself to have at least a half a chance there. And talk about half a chance, he's got more than that right now. He's got a brilliant chance to roll the blue into the left corner. This is far from easy, but with the cue ball going back for the pink, this could be a free shot that he's been waiting for. And he makes this one stick. So it is looking like it is going to be a 3-1 lead there to Murphy. Because there's not really a way that he can try and get himself a snooker on the pink and black and just roll this one in towards the yellow pocket. And he'll be nicely away there. And the pink seems to going in there. So it will be a 3-1 lead there for Murphy. And, well, I mean, if there was a stage count there, he's 1 frame there, Mitchell Mann. He's now trailing by 3 frames to Murphy, and he's still not over yet. 15-minute break, yeah, confirmed. So we are going to be back after the 15 minutes intermission. But until then, let's have a look at how the other match is doing. So Lewis Heathcote is still leading John Higgins by 2 frames to 1 there. The 4th frame is about to begin, and we'll be heading into the 15 minutes intermission. We'll be back very soon with you for more action in this quarterfinal. Stay tuned in. So then, after a quick little intermission break of 15 minutes time, we are now back to the action, and it certainly has to be back to business for Shaun Murphy, as it looked like he was on the verge of going with a 4-0 lead there, going into this second mini session, but instead, he's a 3-1 lead, and he's still 2 frames away there from the semi-final clash, with, well, potentially either Anthony McGill, Mark Selby, or the winner of the table number 2 clash between John Higgins and Louis Heathcote there. And now it's going to be Mitchell Mann to get us underway in frame number 5. I mean, he's certainly done the best that he could have in the previous frame number 4 there. But, I mean, that is the second time he's done that. He's done that in the opening frame, and he's left an easy chance for Shaun Murphy, and he's done that straight away yet again. I mean, it is the opening frame of the second mini session. I mean, what is he doing having a break-off shot like that? And it's a simple introduction there for Shaun Murphy. Just has to judge the pace of the cue ball to land himself on the black. And equally, I mean, it was a huge mistake from Mitchell Mann, but it's such a huge mistake from Murphy to accelerate the cue ball with so much power and traction, and has to take the blue yet again here for the top part of the table, this time for the yellow pocket. And he's had to do that way too many times already in this match, and misses the blue this time of asking, so probably leaving exactly where, well, I mean, re-establishing exactly where he left off there in frame number 4. Murphy had a decent form in the opening 3 frames, but that form has deeped out badly for him in frame number 4, and Mitchell Mann is actually finding some sort of the form there in terms of getting the red nicely in towards the left corner. And still, as I say, similar sort of circumstance that he actually managed to defeat Barry Hawkins with getting himself a win with the scoreline of 4 frames to 2, but of course in that match he didn't have to face himself with a 3-0 gap to his name. Something that he had to do right now. Managed to get 1 frame on the line. And the blue, and sending the cue ball down the table with some sort of pace, give him a chance to put some more points towards the win in the 5th frame. Instead, he's going to run himself out of pace on the cue ball, and just a safety shot to play. So both players had an early chance there, and probably both of them have had quite a decent chance. But in the end, it is 6 points for Mitchell Mann and only 1 point for Shaun Murphy at the start of this 5th frame. And the 4th frame between John Higgins and Louis Heathcote is about to end, with Higgins finally getting himself back to level there after trailing 1-0 and 2-1 to his opponent. Of course, once again, the higher ranking seed against the lower ranking player, being outside of the top 64, both of Louis Heathcote and Mitchell Mann, having a decent qualifiers round and getting themselves nicely into the deep run of the British Open. And Murphy this time around has got a shot at the safety there. And we certainly are back, and it's all about the players being back, because Mitchell Mann once again is looking at this plant into the right corner. This is possible for him, and the good news is cue ball will be sent back towards the top part of the table yet again here, giving him a nice little chance to put some pressure into his opponent, but instead he catches the red without real intention there, and I think he's going to leave a shot there for Shaun Murphy, although he's not going to leave a red that I was originally thinking about. But him getting quite close to the brown has actually saved him there from giving one more easy chance to Shaun Murphy. But has he got another option but to try and take this red into the right corner? Once again, just has to re-establish his form, Murphy, and these shots are the way to do it. And what a brilliant shot this is. I did say it was the way to do it, and he's certainly going to re-establish your form if you're going to try and play more shots like that, something that we haven't seen in the later stage of the first mini session. But Well, Shaun Murphy seems to be, if not back to his best, then be back to his basic. And it's a brilliant long shot there. Probably the best of the match that we've seen. And this time it's a straightforward roll onto the blue, into the middle, get himself lined up on one of the reds, into the right corner. And I can confirm, of course, that John Higgins is going to be the winner of frame number 4, with him being comfortably away. So Lou Heathcote has to set off for a draw before the 15-minute session interval will start there. And after Shaun Murphy's back from that 15 minutes of a break, he certainly had some time to regather his thoughts and realise that he's still battling for a ranking event semi-final here, and gets nice little traction there on the cue ball. Doesn't want to get too much pace of it though, still want to see enough of the red into the right corner, and of course he can't do that. He'll have to go for a red into the lower part of the section of the reds, but it looks like he was intending to go for a plant all along here, so let's hope that is the case. And he actually managed to get himself lined up really nicely on the back onto the left corner here, and the red that he's just released off a plant into another red there is actually going to be very handy for him in the next couple of shots. But for now, a sausage competition is going to resume in between Shaun Murphy and Karen Wilson, as Chris Wakelin has described it previously, and there's a massive fight back there from Wilson, who had a lot to say about that, and certainly felt the comment there from Wakelin, saying that he's way too inexperienced from being in the world like he finds himself in, being the top 16 player right now, and he has to be very careful with those sorts of statements, because the fans will go at you, is the quote there from Wilson. 23 points right now is the gap between Murphy and Mann though, and nice little cannon into the reds, still finds himself nicely in terms of one more red into the left corner, and just dispatches that one using all the jaws that were available to him off the left corner. And John Higgins certainly is going to be away with a nice little break in the end, not quite a century break, but still the one that will comfortably get him over the line and set up an intermission in between him and Lou Heathcote there. Still nothing to separate the two players as they battle for the fourth and final semi-final spot, you would think. Well, this match going quite far ahead there. We've already managed to finish off the intermission break, and it's only about to start in the table number 2. And Murphy's already on quite a charge right now. As I say, has to make sure that the frame that he lost is going to be a one frame wonder there for Mitchell Mann, and he's not going to have any more of that charity play. And right now 38 points in between Murphy and Mann here. Has to be very, very careful here. And, what is the sound? Check the music. Which music there? And we'll have a look for you in a second. The intermission one. Yep, appreciate that. It's all been sorted, and we're back going. Certainly wasn't loud enough to, well, sort of discover my voice, but thanks for you to let me know in the chat. And I mean, as we go back to the action, Murphy just missed an easy red in towards the left middle, just as I say. 52 points on the break, and all of a sudden Mitchell Mann will find himself back to the table, and it's still far from over here in terms of Murphy perspective, and he leaves away a nice little position now for Mitchell Mann, but straight away there it is a waste of a chance there for him. He had an easy red to roll in towards the right corner. In the end, not going to be anything about that. And 46 points still the difference in favour of Shaun Murphy, as he now finds himself with probably a safety shot to play. I don't think he's going to go for a red into the left middle. So still 6 reds on the table, 75 points on the board. And only one of those being on the cushion. Shaun Murphy making sure that he's going to be quite generous with putting some more of those reds into the open play. And, well, let's see what Murphy can try and do from the chance that actually gets to him. Surely he's going to be the last one that you actually need here. But until then, Mitchell Mann has to make sure he makes the most out of the position that is ahead of him. And tries to get that red into the action. So a little cross double is going to be an easy shot for him to manage. But what a mistake that is. I said it was going to be an easy shot for him to try and manage. But what a mistake this is. 46 points in between Mitchell Mann and Shaun Murphy. He goes for an easy shot selection there. And the right shot selection as well. Tries to free one more red into the open play to get himself the best possible chance of clearance. Should it be on the red into either one of the corner pockets. Instead, he misjudges the safety badly and he gives away a chance that surely is going to be the final one for Shaun Murphy. As he gets himself once again in between the reds. So far from ideal here. Come on, man. Well, I mean, a shot a goal would have said it's a little bit of an over here for frame number 6. But still Murphy not making most out of the positional play here. But recovering well, to be fair to him. And as long as he finishes on the green here nicely, he will be nicely away now in frame number 5 for a 4-1 lead. So the fairy tale looks like he will be over for Mitchell Mann before it really started there for him. In the 16-1 odds are going to skyrocket to 32-1 odds because Shaun Murphy is only going to be 1 frame away now from reaching the semi-final for the first time in this season. Something that I'm pretty sure Murphy fans will be delighted to see that. Should be GG's. Well, certainly is in this frame. 56 points clear right now. And only 51 on the table. So just roll the blue in nicely. Make sure that Mitchell Mann can't really and hasn't really got any excuse to come back to the table. So 10 points, 3 snookers with 3 more reds. It is game over in frame number 5. Murphy will try and make sure that is the case with just rolling 1 more red in there. It's not about the break. It's all about the business here for Shaun Murphy. Surely just roll the cue ball in behind the brown or roll the brown in towards the left middle if you want to. Don't think there's a real chance for him to try and get onto either one of those reds. Although, managed to find a decent line there. So the break is still not over. The frame certainly is. And it's all about Murphy getting some more of the table time. That is not going to take long for him, to be fair. And he will be. 67 points there for Shaun Murphy is the difference between himself and Mitchell Mann. And certainly is frame over here. So a 4-1 lead for Shaun Murphy. And a 3-frame cushion is restored there for, well, the higher seed of the Englishman. Mitchell Mann once again has got it all to do ahead of himself. And he's now to win 4 frames on the bounce if he is to become the 3rd semi-finalist. Surely the comeback story of the year. Forget Joe Long against Mark Allen. Forget Ronnie O'Sullivan against Neil Robertson. It's going to be Mitchell Mann on all the newspapers in the UK that mention snooker. If he does manage to pull off a comeback whitelist, not necessarily sure that is possible for him. Way too many points for him to try and climb on. Of course, he needs to get himself in a perfect chance for a break. And, I mean, he's had that in the 5th frame. Murphy managed to miss a red into the left middle. Left Mitchell Mann with an easy red to try and take on into the right corner. But being so cold of his chair, he missed it. And he gave away another chance there to Murphy. And he said, thank you very much. I'm not going to waste another chance there. And I am going to take the frame number 5 and put myself nicely in the lead. And in the driver's seat yet again here. Leading by 4 frames to 1. Still far from over here in terms of... Well, still has to get 1 frame on the board. It has been a struggle for him until their intermission. But certainly has to make it now or never for himself. And just play some of his best snooker that we've seen in the match, still being far from ideal there for Murphy, but as I say, he didn't really have to get out of the second gear so far in this match. Let's see if that's going to happen. In frame number 6 though, as it is going to be Shaun Murphy to break off once the referee is happy for that to be the case. And we'll be underway. Still very much a massive frame now for Murphy to get himself over the line and be nicely away into the semi-final, just facing the draw results, realising who's going to be the opponent that he's actually going to have to face. And there's around 70 points in between him and doing that. And so he starts off with a decent break-off shot. The black is available into both of the corner pockets, and is Mitchell Mann going to go for this red? Certainly having a look at the position of the black ball there, and the trajectory that I can see the cue ball lined up is going to be sent towards the red and into the right corner. He'll miss this shot though, and does he leave anything away there for Murphy? I don't think he does, so gets away with it to an extent. It was always going to be the only red that he actually could have given away there to Murphy was the one that he was actually playing there, so when I say gets away with it, you know, it was a double kiss. Could have been over the left middle. In the end, it's not going to be. And Murphy will just get a couple of more reds freed up there and send the cue ball into the top part of the table. Nicely done once again. So it's a difficult safety shot right now for Mitchell Mann to try and face. I mean, he hasn't got too many reds off the left-hand side of the table to try and play. The one that is actually quite far down the table, well, there's a risk there of the cue ball catching the red on the left-hand cushion, which is why he's actually taking this red on, but has to take this one very carefully and doesn't want to catch any of the ball colours full ball, which is exactly what he's done on the yellow. And, I mean, Murphy did manage to take one of those reds, very similar to that, in the 5th frame, and get himself started on the first break of the two. And once again, a very similar shot. In fact, I think this one is going to be easier for him, as this is a little bit straighter there on the cue ball. Might actually be too straight for him to just try and cue the shot there. And he's having a look to see if he can just stun the cue ball, get himself lined up for the black there, but surely just a little bit too little of a margin there for him to try and play. Murphy has to take this red into the corner, has to of course try and eliminate it at least. And I mean, he did eliminate it, but he didn't pot it. And it's going to be Mitchell Mann back to the table for another chance of a break here potentially. He's got a couple of reds lined up into the left middle. The black is still available there for him to try and play. Of course not off the current shot, unless he wants to go for a deep screw on the black here. Try and get himself lined up into the left corner. And I think he has to go for a little bit harder of a cut if he wants to line himself up for a guaranteed shot on the colour. And doesn't seem to be a shot that he's actually picking. So this is going to be difficult for him to try and make the stick. But in the end, he's played this one nicely. And, well, it's a really nice chance now for Mitchell Mann because he gets himself on the black straight away here. So in and around the black spot, trying to accumulate as many of those points as possible. The reds are still spread out nicely. And, well, the position is winnable. But certainly has to put a lot of work and effort into this position. And some of the changes and improvements will have to be made inevitably as well. But this was a great shot there from Mann. Getting himself nicely on the black there. Rolling through the cue ball and finishing up perfectly on that shot. So once again, just all about the momentum here for Mitchell Mann. Has to build some of that and has to keep Murphy as quiet as he possibly can and try and take it on a frame by frame basis. Of course, he can't afford to lose any more of those, but you know, you can't lose them if you're winning them. That's the mentality he has to take on with the last 4 remaining frames. And also, we've seen some of the brilliant comebacks already in this season. This probably will take the edge if he does manage to pull this one off from 3-0 down or 4-1 down. He still has a mighty of a job ahead of him. And doesn't seem to be too happy with the position on the cue ball on this red. So we'll have to take an alternative shot into the middle. And once again lined himself up nicely for the black here. And well, the position is very nice there for him. And he's also accumulating all the points on the black here. So that's going to make it, what is it, 4 reds, 4 blacks here. After this one will disappear. And either screw back for the red just above the black or the one just below it. Gone for option number 2. So this is probably the one and one of the only really reds. It's going to be quite difficult for him to try and take on from the posing angle, being quite close to the cushion jaw. And just roll this one in, avoid the front jaw, and you're nicely on the black here, which he is. So take this red by red, color by color, and all of a sudden you find yourself 33 points clear. Make that 40 with the black, and you're more than halfway there for yourself. Exactly what he's managed to do. I think he's going to run himself out of position on the black though, so either try and decelerate as much as is possible on this cue ball and just roll the red with no pace at all in the pocket, or go for the opposite shot of that and just try and power this one in and screw the cue ball back for the blue here. I think he would have made things a lot easier for himself if he managed to get just a couple of more millimeters on this cue ball, get himself a little bit of a straighter angle. So it doesn't seem to make his mind just yet. And looks like he's going to be playing the wind the power. And still gets up from the shot. So no decision made just yet. And in the end decided to go for the blue there. So if there was a hint of a 147 on the table, certainly going to be out of the equation right now. With all the reds actually being positioned quite nicely for that. But with him taking the approach to go for the blue, not necessarily sure this is going to give him a lot more points, because he does find himself on the wrong side of the blue here. And, well, right now it's a red into the right corner, which is going to be a little bit of a mid-range shot there. So, and it's also very straight there for him. Does he want to go for the screw back on the blue there? Or does he want to try and keep the cue ball for the black? Very important shot for him to try and make. And the yellow's going to make it a little bit more awkward for him. In the end, he does manage to take the red in, but puts a lot of distance in between the cue ball and the black here. So this is for his highest break of the match, being the first 50 plus break on his counter. And he makes this one stick, so it's a decent break already there for Mann. It's still no signs of slowing down, being on on the run of 145 for now. The only time he had to play the blue was on one of the reds, then he actually ran himself out of position slightly. And apart from that, all the colours that he had to take were the blacks into right or left corner. And one more of those will disappear into it. Get himself nicely on one more red into the right corner. And yet again, just play through the cue ball, no messing around. A little bit of power to make sure it doesn't stick to one of those reds. And he's alright on the black. I think he actually got too much of power on it. Just say a little bit of power on it. But he had to force his way through all those reds. Leaves himself with a difficult cut now into the corner. And still not over the line, so can't afford to make a miss here. Because all the reds are still in open position for Shaun Murphy. And he had to play this one with power. Wasn't confident in himself. And yeah, I mean, it's far from ideal now for him. The good news though is the cue ball is not going to be best friend now of Shaun Murphy, because it landed exactly on the right hand cushion. Can Murphy afford to just roll through this red? Don't think he can, so he has to take another red on. The harder one and the more difficult of the three. And just he makes it. Does he make it? Yes, he does. It's a brilliant shot in the end for Murphy, because it probably was the hardest shot that he actually has to face the entire frame here. And all of a sudden, that 63 points of a break for Mitchell Mann is going to mean absolutely nothing there for him. Should Shaun Murphy get some sort of traction here and get himself, well, nicely away into the semi-final spot. And he's only what, 12 shots from doing that. 5 reds, 5 blacks, some of the colours. And he will nicely be booking himself into the semi-final spot. As for now, I've got a little bit of an issue with the stream, so let me just refresh that. And there we go. Murphy already managed to put one more red. Well, that was happening. And the black will follow up shortly. So 16 points right now for Murphy. So being 47 behind, still 59 on the table. It's not going to be lacking on points right now. And it's just all about maximizing the positional play. Being very close on that red though, to catching too much of the front jaw. And missing it altogether. And once again, perfectly on the black here, into the left corner. Roll this one in. And get yourself a perfect selection of 3 reds into the left corner. And that message should be GG's, should be reiterated right now, because it was looking like it was going to be at least one more frame for Mitchell Mann to try and stay on in the quarterfinal. But Murphy seems to be on the roll right now, and so he should be, finding himself in one of the easiest positions the professional snooker player will actually find himself with, especially for a spot in the semi-final of a major ranking event title. For a chance to have a major ranking event title, so as I say, if he is to be a real contender, he needs to be playing a lot better than that. But up until then, you can only beat what's in front of you, and 5-1 of a scoreline is still going to be a massive statement there. And especially winning 2 on the bounce after the intermission. And for Mitchell Mann, it wasn't his day really, and he put up a fight in frame number 4. And I think you'll be happy not to leave on a whitewash. I think it's always a little bit of a, not a little bit, it's always a lot of drama there, and a little bit of trauma as well for you when you do so well into the tournament, reach the higher stage of it. But it does look like it's going to be, for the 4th time of asking, that we're going to have Shaun Murphy defeating Mitchell Mann here, only 6 colours away from doing that. He'll miss, well, I mean, hell of a mistake on the previous shot. I don't think it was a bad miss, because it was a difficult black. He probably was one of the toughest cuts you'll ever see the player take on the black. But really, the damage was done on the previous shot there for him. He had no right to mess up the cue ball position. He had to nudge the red a little bit, but he went full ball on it. In the end, ricocheted massively into the cushion, run himself out of position. And the rest could be history. Only 2 shots away from doing that, Shaun Murphy will need the black for the total clearance to make it a break of 73 points. And which will mean, of course, that he made a break of 50 points in every single one of those frames, apart from the 4th one. And it is now 1 shot in between Shaun Murphy and the semi-final spot. And it will be Shaun Murphy in the semi-final. Still yet to find out who's going to be his opponent, but a warm handshake there between Mitchell Mann and Shaun Murphy, and a warm embrace there as well. Certainly good words will be said there about Mitchell Mann and his campaign at the British Open, but in the end, yet again, we find Shaun Murphy managing to get the better of his opponents, and a commanding performance in the end, and a 5-1 win against Mitchell Mann will mean that Murphy is going to be nicely away into the semi-final spot. And it certainly is a good game right now. And, well, we'll see you for more action of snooker later on. But for now, it is Shaun Murphy's game. And certainly looking forward to see a lot more of him later in the season. For now, you will enjoy your rest time and come back stronger, as we yet to find out who the 4th semi-finalist is going to be. And the draw will be released very soon from that. Thanks for the commentary. No worries, my friend. And thanks for tuning in as well. Speak to you all later. And see you soon.